Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Box Office Receipts. I'm your host Tyler Callahan and we have a very interesting topic to talk about. Let's get to it. Alright, as per usual, we are starting with In the Pipeline, and AMC and Universal may have just pissed everyone off in Hollywood. So a brief recap of the situation so far, if you're not aware of it, because it's been ongoing for a few months now. After Universal decided to release Trolls World Tour on premium VOD back in April and did not want to wait for theaters to reopen, AMC got pissed and decided to not play any more Universal movies again. Done. Afterwards, the other theater owners kind of joined in by just simply saying they would not show any movie that did not respect the theater window. Nothing specific against Universal. After that, talks went quiet as theaters have not reopened yet, so all these threats were not enforced. Well, this week, which was shaping to be a quiet one, AMC and Universal dropped the bomb. They not only reached a deal in playing movies again, but for some movies, Universal can release them on premium VOD after just 17 days in theaters. There are a few things though. First, this is not a requirement to release it on PVOD after 2.5 weeks. If box office numbers are good, Universal can keep it in theaters for longer. Also, when a movie goes to PVOD, AMC will get a cut of the revenue. While Universal's deal was not disclosed, Variety is reporting AMC has offered other studios similar terms. Those terms include AMC getting a 20% cut of each PVOD rental. Note, PVOD means $19.99 rental or more. Also, AMC would also pay 2% less for each film it distributes. It is understood Universal got a slightly better deal because they agreed to it first. Also, Universal cannot put the rental in the normal $3 to $6 window most rentals are at until 3 months after its theatrical release, as to not undercut AMC. Reaction to this deal has been, I'd say, mixed to negative from other studios and theaters. I should also mention right now that this only affects AMC theaters and Universal domestically, while they are working on this kind of deal for other territories that is still work in progress. First, let's go to Cineworld, the second largest theater chain in the world and runs Regal in the United States. CEO Mookie Grinlinger had this to say, quote, "We do not see any business sense in this model," end quote. Variety is also reporting that Disney so far is not taking the offer, as they believe a shorter window would jeopardize the potential revenue from family films at the box office. Alright, so we went over the deal as well as some thoughts from theaters and studios. Let's talk about it. I gotta say, AMC has just stabbed every theater owner in the back. What they did was just dirty to them, and I think part of the reason the theater owner group has not said anything yet in response to this deal is because they don't know how to. Think about it. Back when Universal released Trolls on PVOD as a rental, the Theater Association put out a statement against it. Then Universal talked about how much money they made, which pissed off AMC and by themselves banned Universal movies. You would think a theater company so protective of their exclusivity window, you would want to keep it at all costs. LOL, nope. A few months of negotiations, and it goes from 2 to 3 months to less than 3 weeks. As for Universal, I gotta hand it to them. They have made just about every single right move this year navigating the pandemic. Movies that just came out or about to, move them straight to PVOD to having come now. Mid-tier to big blockbusters, move them all next year as theaters will not be back to normal this year. And so far, at least domestically, they have been right. We are at the beginning of August here, and most theaters in America are not even open yet, and probably won't open for another 1 to 2 months, and even then will probably only be 30-40% capacity. Now, when things do go back to normal next year, they'll have the right with AMC to pull any movie after 17 days to put on PVOD. I tip my hat to the executives there. They have done really well navigating this mess. As to what I think of the deal, if the right movies go to PVOD, this deal works for both companies. Think about it. The window for years was around 3 months. Over the last few years, you have seen that shrink to almost 2 for some movies. It was getting smaller anyway. Also, if anyone listening has been from last year, remember that a lot of mid-tier movies underperformed at the box office. What this deal allows both AMC and Universal is flexibility. For Universal, if a movie is underperforming, they can pull it and put it on PVOD to squeeze some more cash out of it. For AMC, they get a movie that was underperforming off their screens, freeing up space for a movie doing well, so they can add more showtimes or put up a new movie. So they get more use out of their screens and on the back end get a cut of PVOD sales. This has positives, as Universal may be willing to greenlight more mid-tier movies, as it does not matter much if they are a big hit at the box office. But for right now, don't expect Jurassic World or Minions to go to PVOD after 3 weeks, or other tentpole movies from the studio, because those benefit from being in the theaters for 2 to 3 months. Now, who this deal is not good for is other theaters. Like I said a few months ago, if you do not respect the window, they don't play. So what happens now that the window is blurred? I assume we would not know ahead of time what movies would be put on VOD, so if that is the case, do theaters play it at release and drop it if Universal moves it to PVOD? Or refuse to play on a Universal movie, a move AMC pulled a few months ago? It does seem weird that AMC was the one making a big stink about Universal, and now all the other theaters may have to do the same thing to keep the window intact. Disney for the most part does well with movies staying in theaters longer. Paramount does not have many movies coming up since they keep selling them, so a deal like this makes no sense unless they decided to produce more. The only studio I see taking a bite at this is Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers had a rough 2019, with the main issue being mid-tier movies straight up bombing. Remember The Kitchen? Goldfinch? If Warner Brothers wants to keep making those kind of movies with less risk, a type of deal like this could be in their best interest. For now though, I don't expect any moves from anyone as both theaters and studios wait and see who acts first, and when things open up, aka Universal needs to release their movies, and people will need to see how this process works and what other theaters do about it. Make no doubt about it though, if this works, you're watching Hollywood history being made here. Moving on to other news, India has delayed the reopening of their movie theaters. India's Ministry of Home Affairs confirmed that theaters would not be allowed to reopen until August 31st at the earliest. The country goes into phase 3 of reopening August 1st and will not include theaters, swimming pools, and bars. In the UK, VU will have a slight delay to its reopening. Now on August 7th, 10 of their 97 cinemas will reopen with tickets going on sale July 30th. It was expected last week that Tenet would release internationally first and then come to the US. That is now confirmed. Starting from the end of August, Warner Brothers will release the movie in multiple countries. Then on Labor Day weekend, it will release in select American cities, aka whoever can open, and then continue on with its worldwide release. Some of the countries that will get it at the end of August include Finland, France, Italy, South Korea, Portugal, UK, Australia, Canada, Germany, and New Zealand. After its release in America, some of the biggest territories it still has to go to includes Japan, India, and China. Yep, it is being reported that Tenet was sent for approval in China and passed, meaning it just now needs a date to be released. So assuming this rollout actually happens in a month, we will see how much money a big blockbuster can make in these times, and whatever happens will also push Disney to either release Mulan and the New Mutants earlier in September, or delay them again. For me, I will be dodging spoilers as the theaters around me have not reopened yet. With the new dates for Tenet, Inception's 10th anniversary showings will happen August 21st, again, for any theater that can show it. We also did get another movie delay from Paramount, but the news did not come from them, but Hasbro. During their earnings call, they talked about the Snake Eyes movie in development, and while they were looking to release it in October, they are now looking to release it in theaters next year. This was expected, as it is early August, and by the time you hear this, and besides a few set shots, we have no trailer, no poster, no costume reveal, nothing. If I had to guess when it would come out next year, I'd say next summer, or September by the latest. Mission Impossible 7 is set for next November, so Paramount would not want to have 2 action movies go back to back. With a very quiet week on VOD Premium, with the only story being Peacock. During Comcast's earning report, they said as of now Peacock has 10 million signups. Going forward, they'll be looking at 3 metrics: signups, monthly average users, and monthly active accounts. While they did not give details on the last 2 metrics, they did say it was so far all good across the board. Now obviously the 10 million signups is because there is a free tier, but it's still good news for Universal and Comcast, as this is without the service being on Roku and Amazon Fire. This might provide some leverage in their ongoing negotiations to get a good deal to be on those platforms. Guess we'll see what happens. And that'll be it for this week's episode of Box Office Receipts. It was a big one, not for the amount of stories, but for the magnitude of the Universal AMC deal. Please let me know what you think of it. Do you think the shorter window is good or not? Let me know on my Facebook page. A link to that is in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.